reputation of the opponent. Does this one carry a little more heat to it on Sunday?
Um, no, listen, it's another game. Obviously, difficult game in the sense that they're obviously a very good team with good individuals. So that doesn't change from our point of view in terms of going into Sunday looking to try and get 3 points.
How are they different under Mascherano with some of the additions in the back than last year when y'all faced them in the playoffs?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think when you add a new manager, when you add the new players that they've added, I think they cover a little bit more ground, a bit more movement from certain individuals. But at the end of the day, right, it's the quality of their guys that can unlock a game with one pass, with one move, with one play. And so you have to make sure that you're aware of where guys are at all times.
There was some, frustration from you guys and from Ronnie to the media after the last game, talking about just the way that the game kind of went. I guess, for lack of a better word, the way that the heads kind of went in the second half, trying to force the issue. Did that message kind of resonate with the team this week, and do you feel like there was progress made in that sense? You talked about the straight football being played.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I think it's in those moments. It's never as bad as you think it is, and it's never as good as you think it is. And when you go back and you look at different clips throughout that game, throughout the second half, there were some good moments, and there were some bad moments. And just little things, missed passes, missed touch, turn the ball over after defending for maybe a little bit, and then you win it back and you turn it over with one pass, with one ball, with the second touch. And so it's these types of things that then can start to mount and build and become frustrating. And that being said, you look at the first half and the chances we created. If we put those away, it's a different conversation. And but that's the nature of sports. That's why we play the game. And I think when you look at this past week of training in terms of what we're looking to do, as Doug was saying, it's now week 4, right? It's game 4. We've got to continue to build. We knew going into the start of the season it wasn't going to be perfect in week 1. It wasn't going to be perfect by week 6. It's a continuation. It's a process, and we want to build on the good things and try and eradicate the sloppy play and maybe some of the not so good things.
Clean sheet last time out. You didn't have to make a save. What went well defensively in front of you?
I think our organization was tremendous. I think our ability to cut off passing lanes and more so just our willingness to affect the ball, to get in, not just get into a position, but then actually challenge the ball, affect the ball. I told Stan and Derek they each made unbelievable blocks in the first half on transition plays, and those are moments that are huge, right? Because in the first half, right, we have loads of chances, but you give them a half a chance and we don't make that block, and next thing you know, that finds the bottom corner, and it's again a different conversation to what we're having. And so those are huge plays, and we're going to need a lot more of that in terms of Sunday, but also just going forward, and that needs to be the precedent that we set for ourselves in terms of how we stay organized, the communication, the willingness to run, the willingness to tackle, the willingness to affect the ball.
How much of that was having Derek back in the starting lineup, the organization and the communication?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, listen, Derek, we know what he brings. We know what his ability is in terms of communication and organization. But at the same time, it's like I said, it's you can talk all you want, and a lot of times stuff's probably not being heard as clear as you want it to be, right? There's 50,000 people in the stadium. It's loud. It's chaotic at times. But you need people that understand what's happening in the game, and you need people to understand situations and read situations, and he's certainly someone that could do that.
So, odd question: who's the vice captain on the team? Who's allowed to talk to the referee if it's up the field? We were wondering about this in the first half of last week's game.
Yeah, I'm 99.9% sure, unless it's changed, since it was communicated to us in week 1 that Miguel is.
Okay.
On this topic, there was a certain media member who was commenting about this. His name is Dax McCarty.
Gotcha.
Talking about communication, the
Never heard
fact
of
that you're this team's biggest leader, but you're playing at the back, and so sometimes that communication could be hard to come by. As a goalkeeper, have you ever noticed that? Just generally speaking, not talking about this year necessarily, but difficulty in trying to get your message across, whatever you want to communicate to the team. Just a difficulty doing that from your position on the field.
Listen, I'm not going to go and tell Manu how to make runs in behind, and I'm not going to tell Miguel what he should do, like in the attacking third. So, in terms of those messages, no, those aren't my messages to relay. Those aren't, my messages to try and get across to those guys on the other side of the pitch. I think when you talk about goalkeepers in general and whether they're captains or just leaders in general, I've always said it comes with the position, comes with the territory. To be a successful goalkeeper, you've got to have that ability to communicate in a good way that gets through to everybody. And so for one guy, it might be me putting my arm around him. For another guy, it might be absolutely getting into him and cussing him out and kind of lighting a fire under their butt and saying, hey, like, this isn't good enough, we got to do more. And everyone's different. But in terms of getting messages from back to front, it's not about me trying to tell those guys, hey, we got to do this or do that. It's a collective when we're on the field.
For Brooks being back here, especially training with the team and getting ready for Sunday, what does he bring both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think when you look at Brooks, obviously his work rate is tremendous. His ability to get up and down the pitch, first and foremost, he's obviously a defender and somebody that is willing and able to close the ball down and defend how he needs to defend, and then on top of that, he's got a really good right foot in terms of delivering crosses and being able to transition and help us transition from back to front. And so, someone that offers qualities on both sides of the ball.
We've talked a lot about that width and how it helps the attack. How does it help you in terms of distribution to have more width from the fullbacks?
Yeah, I think when you look at, I'm sure you guys have heard, the manager speak in terms of how we want to play and just different ideas he's trying to instill in us. When you have the width, it allows for more space to open in the middle. When you have the width, it allows for us to make their wingers defend, their attacking players track back and work on the defensive side of the ball and hopefully tire them out a little bit. But it creates space. And as a goalkeeper, when you have the ball, knowing that whether it's a ball in the air, whether it's a ball at his feet, he can deal with it and help us transition.
Brad, after the game on Saturday, Ronnie touched on the need for there to be more leaders on the field that can help kind of keep the mentality and the performance going throughout the second half. Obviously, you're the captain, biggest leader on the team, but what other leaders have you seen developing on this squad?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think everybody in their own right is slowly, taking on a bit more. I don't think it's one or two guys. I think it needs to be a collective effort from all of us. It needs to be. It's not everyone just shouting and yelling this, yelling that. One player is going to lead by example. Somebody else might be communicating verbally. Another might be communicating from a supporting role. So I mean, there's different ways to lead, right? And there's different ways. I think what he's talking about is the ability that when the game gets a little bit chaotic, when the game, we start to lose control of the game at different spells, to understand that the other team is entitled to have the ball, and in those moments, we've all got to try and be on the same page as much as possible in terms of whether we're pressing, we're not pressing, whether we're in a low block, mid block, all these buzzwords that are now floated around the football world. And so, we want guys to continue to push themselves, to communicate more, to lead more, but it's not just one or two guys, it's a collective.
Do you want to see Messi play on Sunday?
We're going to face the 11 players that they put out and whatever players they bring on off the bench.
Good answer.
Good, guys. Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.